Right now, a grandmother in Iowa is walking through a Tokyo campus with her granddaughter. A surgeon in Boston is guiding doctors in Bangladesh as if they're in the same room, and a team in Lagos is closing a deal with partners in London. This is happening now, and with AI being layered into the metaverse, distance disappears, language barriers fade, and connection feels personal, immediate, and real. To author, lawyer, and entrepreneur Mitch Jackson, what's most profound isn't the technology, it's how it's making empathy scalable and turning shared presence into our new normal. Welcome to your front row seat in the next great human and business evolution. You don't need to be a gamer. You don't need to write code. You don't need to have a Silicon Valley zip code or a headset strapped to your face. What you do need is a vision worth building, and the willingness to take action inside a world that's changing faster than most people realize. That's where Mitch's free book comes in. The metaverse isn't a single place. It's not one company's platform, and it's definitely not a passing trend. It's a convergence of tools and technologies such as AI, AR, VR, spatial computing that are reshaping how we connect, collaborate, buy, sell, educate, and grow. Now, with AI being added to the mix, the metaverse is starting to change everything. We're talking about digital spaces you can walk through, environments you can build, brand, and monetize. Virtual storefronts where real customers shop, offices where your team logs in, whiteboards in hand, workshops where creators, coaches, lawyers, educators, people like you, teach, serve, and earn. Throughout this book, Mitch refers to this entire ecosystem as the metaverse, but more than the name, what matters is what you do with it. Mitch has spent the last 3 decades building a legal career helping people solve big problems and protect what matters most. Most of those years involved technology. For the past 10, he's leaned into emerging metaverse-related tech, advising clients, launching ventures, and mediating disputes inside immersive platforms. Mitch has seen firsthand what works, what crashes, and what scales. So he wrote this book for the business owners, entrepreneurs, creators, and builders. The ones who want to create something real, with purpose and profitability baked in from day one. Whether you're a business owner, a brand strategist, a coach, an artist, or an entrepreneur looking to future-proof your next move, this blueprint is designed to help you structure, launch, and grow inside the immersive web. Mitch's covers how to choose the right platform, protect your IP, handle smart contracts, resolve digital disputes, scale your reach with AI, and keep your operations legally sound and financially sustainable across borders, time zones, and realities. And one more thing while we're all here, everything in this book, plus 3 decades of legal, business, and metaverse insights, is now at your fingertips through Mitch's 24/7 AI agent. Just tap, ask, and get instant answers to anything you read about in the book. It's free, it's simple, and it's always on. You can access the agent via the link in the introduction to the book found online at mitchjackson.xyz. Mitch's book is practical, actionable, and built to be used. Each chapter stacks on the last, guiding you step by step through the process of creating a metaverse business that actually functions, not just looks flashy. After all, we're here to build systems, structures, foundations that last, and it all starts with one thing: structure. Because if your business isn't built right from the beginning, if your foundation is shaky, or worse, non-existent, it won't matter how beautiful your venue is or how cool your avatar looks. One more thing. We're popping into the metaverse for live events, private gatherings, and the kind of meetups that make you say, wait, that was actually useful. Want to know when it's happening? Get on the list. We'll email you before our next meetup. You can find the email link also in the introduction to the book found online at mitchjackson.xyz. Okay, moving forward. Let's talk about how to structure your virtual business entity for real-world success. Chapter 1 is where we lay that first brick.
Mitch asked me to share some legal stuff you should know before reading or listening any further. This book, the video, recordings, and everything connected to this project, including the website, digital resources, and any content we've built for Web 2, Web 3, or the Metaverse, are all protected by copyright. Also, although Mitch is a pretty darn good lawyer, he's not your lawyer. Nothing in this book creates a legal relationship between you and Mitch, or his law firm. And let's be crystal clear, no legal advice is being given. This isn't legal, financial, or professional advice tailored to your unique situation. It's educational and meant to point you in the right direction. By reading this, using any of our services, or interacting with Mitch or his team in Web 3 or the Metaverse, you agree to do so at your own risk. That includes accepting the risks tied to AI, smart contracts, virtual assets, and global regulations that change faster than your favorite app gets updated. If you're not cool with that, stop watching and listening and disconnect. Otherwise, let's keep going. We have a lot of exciting ideas and content to share with you. Before we dive into Chapter 1, Mitch asked me to introduce myself to you. My name is Mia, and I'm one of the many Metaverse avatars Mitch and his team use each week in their Metaverse spaces. We all agreed it would be fun to have me narrate this book, and so I hope you enjoy watching and listening as much as I do recording this content. Okay, let's get started. Chapter 1. Structuring your virtual business entity for success. Let's be honest, if you're setting up shop in the Metaverse thinking it's some cute extension of your website, you're already behind. The truth is, building a business in spatial commerce isn't just about floating logos, flashy avatars, or chasing trend waves. It's about infrastructure, ownership, jurisdiction. It's about planting your flag in a virtual world that's very real when it comes to money, taxes, and lawsuits. And it starts with your foundation, LLC or corporation. What's under the hood matters. You can't build a skyscraper on sand. That's why your first real decision, the structure of your virtual business entity, is not just paperwork. It shapes how you operate, who controls what, how you raise funds, and what kind of legal firepower you've got when things get messy. An LLC, limited liability company, offers flexibility. If you're a creator or a lean team bootstrapping your first immersive marketplace or NFT gallery, an LLC might be the friendliest route. It's easier to manage, requires less corporate formality, and allows you to file taxes as a pass-through entity. That means no double taxation. Just one layer, your personal income tax. Now, let's say you're thinking bigger. You're pitching investors, issuing tokens, licensing virtual franchises. A C corporation, especially a Delaware one, may be the better tool. Investors love it because they understand it. You can issue different classes of stock. You can set up options pools. You're built for scale. But here's the trade-off. You'll pay corporate tax, and again on your personal income if profits are distributed. That's double taxation. And it stings. Especially when you're working across time zones and tax codes. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. You pick based on what kind of growth you're planning for, and what kind of headaches you're prepared to manage. The tax trap. No one tells you about. Here's where it gets slippery. You think you're selling avatar skins or space rentals in a metaverse world with no borders. But the minute a customer in Germany buys your product while your digital HQ is based in Wyoming, but your servers live in Singapore, you've just crossed into tax chaos. Do you owe U.S. income tax? VAT in the EU? Sales tax in both? Spoiler, maybe all three. That's why structuring your operations isn't about location anymore, it's about positioning. Digital businesses operating in spatial environments need to work with accountants who don't just know traditional e-commerce. They need to understand what happens when avatars transact across borders, wallets, and currencies. Jurisdiction is not just about where you file your LLC. It's about where the value is created, where the servers are, where the buyer is. And in many countries, those governments are catching up fast. This is where solid tax counsel isn't optional. It's your lifeline. Where should you live digitally? Think of your digital headquarters as the home address of your business. It may not come with a mailbox or a water cooler, but it's still where regulators will look when things get tricky. Some startups are building in the US, where there's access to funding, strong IP laws, and established legal protections. But there's baggage, compliance, taxes, reporting. Others are launching from places like the Cayman Islands. Why? Because there's no corporate tax, and it's easier to issue tokens or set up decentralized ownership structures. Then you've got Estonia, a tiny country doing big things. Their e-residency program lets you set up and run a business 100% online. They've built a digital infrastructure designed for borderless businesses. Each jurisdiction has perks and trade-offs. Going offshore might simplify taxes, but complicate banking and investor trust. Staying onshore might keep regulators happy, but limit how flexible you can be with global contributors or DAO-style systems. So, where should you incorporate? Ask yourself, who are my customers? Who are my investors? Where are my contributors? And most importantly, what do I want this business to look like in 5 years? Because once you're established, moving jurisdictions is like trying to transplant a 100-foot tree. Painful, expensive, and it might not survive. Ownership in a decentralized autonomous organization. World traditional companies are built on top-down control. You've got founders, maybe a board, and employees. But the metaverse is messing with that model. You can do business as an individual or traditional corporate entity. You can also set things up as a decentralized autonomous organizations. These entities are rewriting what ownership and operations means. In a decentralized autonomous organization, voting power is often tied to tokens. No central CEO, no rigid corporate ladder, just community-led governance with smart contracts calling the shots. It sounds like freedom, but it's also chaos if you're not careful. There's no legal standard yet for decentralized autonomous organizations in most countries. So even if your smart contract says the community votes on everything, some regulator might still say you, the founder, are responsible when things go sideways. That's why some projects are using a hybrid approach. They incorporate as LLCs or foundations, then operate under decentralized autonomous organization-like governance internally. It's not pure decentralization, but it gives you legal cover. And here's a reality check. Decentralized autonomous organizations are sexy in theory, but painful in practice if you don't have clear rules, dispute processes, and contributor agreements. Want your community to vote on every decision? Be prepared for gridlock. This isn't a free-for-all, it's a recalibration. Between freedom and function, between democratization and getting stuff done, who owns what, and why that matters. In the metaverse, equity isn't just stock anymore. It's tokens, it's NFTs, it's smart contracts that control access, perks, or voting rights. And every piece of that equity needs to be clearly defined, on paper and on-chain. If you're raising capital through token sales, you better know whether that token is a security. Because the SEC isn't playing around. Sloppy structuring now could turn into subpoenas later. If you're granting equity to contributors, coders, or creators, you need vesting schedules, IP clauses, and exit terms. Just because you're working with someone in Decentraland doesn't mean you skip the contract. You just sign it in PDF and maybe notarize it on the blockchain. Every pixel you create, every code commit, every avatar interaction, you need to know who owns it, who controls it, and what happens when someone wants out. Because in this space, breakups are messy. And unlike in the physical world, everything is recorded. Forever. The bottom line. Before you build anything with glowing neon signs and interactive storefronts, you need to build this. The legal bedrock. The business bones. This chapter is about getting you to think in a new way. It's about readiness. Because if you structure your business like a hobby, it'll be treated like one, by partners, by customers, and by the law. Set it up right, and you're not just protecting yourself. You're creating a launchpad that lets you grow, adapt, and, if needed, exit gracefully. Now that you've got the foundation in place, it's time to dig into what you're actually building on top of it. In the next chapter, we'll get into due diligence and smart acquisition moves, so you don't just step into the metaverse, you step in with your eyes wide open. Chapter 2. Due diligence and asset acquisition in virtual environments. There's a myth that buying into the metaverse is as easy as minting a trendy NFT, grabbing a plot of land, or opening a virtual storefront on the platform du jour. But if you treat your asset purchases like a Saturday impulse buy, you're not building a business, you're gambling with pixels and prayer. This chapter is about cutting through the noise and making smart, grounded decisions before you commit a single dollar or crypto token to anything virtual. Because here's the truth, not all platforms are trustworthy. And for those who embrace or are built on Web3 technology, not all blockchains and NFTs are what they claim to be. And behind some smiling avatars are bad actors waiting for you to let your guard down. Start with the source. Vet the platform, like it's a business partner. Before you buy a single piece of digital real estate or license a gamified showroom, you need to vet the platform. Not just whether it looks pretty, not whether it has a shiny pitch deck or a celebrity endorsement. Ask the real questions. Who owns the platform? Where is it based? What kind of legal protections exist if something goes wrong? What happens if the platform shuts down or gets acquired and changes its terms? The metaverse isn't one place. It's a collection of many, some centralized and corporate, others decentralized and community-run. Each has different rules, risks, and lifespans. Look at the history. Have users lost assets in past updates? Are smart contracts properly audited? Is there a real team behind the platform, or is it run by 3 anonymous handles in a Discord channel? Because if the ground beneath your virtual property is unstable, it doesn't matter how beautiful the building looks. Digital real estate, is the land actually yours? Virtual land sounds exciting until you realize you might not actually own anything. In most cases, what you're buying is a license, permission to use space in a world someone else controls. Some platforms let you buy parcels as NFTs, giving you blockchain-recorded ownership. Others let you rent or subscribe to space with terms that can change with little warning. Ask to see the smart contract. Read the terms of use. Confirm you're not just paying for the illusion of permanence. You want to know what rights come with your purchase. Can you resell the asset? Can you build on it? Can the platform remove your access? Is the land locked to one platform, or can it be ported to others? This is where legal meets technical. Because in a world where control often lives in code, the fine print is now written in Solidity and stored on-chain. NFTs, artifacts, and assets. Check the paperwork before you fall in love. It's easy to get swept up by beautiful digital art or rare metaverse wearables. But before you spend 5 figures on a virtual sculpture or exclusive avatar skin, ask the question most people forget. Who actually owns this? Just because an NFT exists doesn't mean the seller has the right to sell it. You need to verify title, IP rights, and provenance. That includes checking if the seller is the original creator or if they're reselling under valid terms. Ask if the underlying asset is stored on-chain or just linked off-chain on a server that could vanish tomorrow. If the asset includes a commercial license, read it. If it doesn't, don't assume you can use it in your store, stream, or campaign. Ownership doesn't always mean freedom to use however you want. Creators should be ready to show chain of custody records. Buyers should run verification through third-party tools or blockchain explorers. And everyone should walk away from deals that feel even a little shady. Because the metaverse has no sheriff. If you get burned, there's no easy 1-800 number to call. Smart contracts. The code that writes the rules. A smart contract is just a program that executes rules on the blockchain. But too often, people treat it like a vending machine. Put in money, get the asset. Done. What you're not seeing is how those contracts can include traps. Some smart contracts are coded to let creators pull back assets after a certain time. Others include royalty structures that siphon off a percentage every time the asset is resold. Some lack clear limits on who can modify or revoke terms. You need to review the code or hire someone who can. Ask questions. Are there backdoors? Is the contract locked or editable? Are there escrow protections or time-locked functions? Was it audited? A badly written smart contract is a ticking time bomb, and when it blows up, the mess is permanent. Because once something hits the blockchain, it can't be undone. So you better understand what it's doing before you hit buy. Spotting fraud. Before it hits the news. Here's the hard truth. Rug pulls aren't rare. From fake land sales to influencer-backed NFT scams, too many people are lured in by hype, urgency, or shiny promises. The signs are usually there. Anonymous founders. No legal entity behind the project. Unverified claims. Sketchy Discord channels pushing limited drops. White papers full of buzzwords and zero substance. Your due diligence checklist should include more than just platform stats and visuals. Look into who's behind the project. Ask for legal documents. Look for third-party reviews or audits. Verify partners and investors. If something feels off, pause. Because the metaverse moves fast, but that doesn't mean you have to. Trust your instincts. And if your gut says, this feels like a scam, don't talk yourself out of it. Walk away. You wouldn't buy a brick-and-mortar store from a guy in a parking lot? Don't buy a virtual one that way either. Building a smarter acquisition process. If you're buying a virtual business, whether that's a branded experience, a digital storefront, or an entire decentralized brand, you need to act like a real-world buyer. Ask for documents, financials, user metrics, code audits, asset ownership logs, licensing terms, any past disputes. Use NDAs. Use lawyers. Use actual contracts that live both in plain English and on-chain when needed. Because a virtual business is still a business, it can have revenue, liabilities, IP. And if you're not treating the acquisition like something real, you're setting yourself up for real losses. Don't skip the checklist. Build your own or work with legal and financial advisors who understand how metaverse transactions work. The more questions you ask up front, the fewer regrets you'll face later. And if you're selling, make sure your house is in order. Clean IP, documented ownership, smart contracts that function cleanly. It's not just about the price, it's about building trust. The big takeaway. This chapter wasn't written to scare you. It was written to keep you grounded. Yes, there's opportunity, but only for those who do the work, who ask the hard questions, who look beyond the avatars and understand the business behind the illusion. Due diligence isn't just about avoiding scams. It's how you show yourself and your future partners, clients, and investors that you're not here to play. You're here to build. Now that you've got your head on straight and your guard up, the next move is choosing where you're going to build. In the next chapter, we'll size up the metaverse platforms that are actually worth your time and break down which ones will help your business grow and which ones will box you in. Chapter 3. Choosing the right metaverse platform for your business. You've done the prep. You've locked in your business structure and run your due diligence on assets. Now comes the question that can make or break everything that follows. Where are you building? This isn't like choosing between Shopify and Squarespace. Picking the right metaverse platform for your business is more like choosing a country to launch in, with all the rules, risks, and consequences that come with it. Different platforms offer different levels of creative control, user reach, revenue share, and legal friction. Some are walled gardens, some are open plains, some will boost your brand, others will box it in. You're not just picking a visual style, you're deciding how your business will live, grow, and be seen. And you don't get to skip this decision. So let's get clear. The platform you pick becomes your operating system. Start by understanding the basics. Every metaverse platform comes with its own ecosystem, technology stack, user base, rules of engagement, and economic model. Spatial and Engage XR are more business-focused, offering polished environments for events, education, or collaboration. Great if your brand is professional or experiential. Mitch, his team, and their clients all enjoy using both because they offer beautiful and professional environments and easy-to-use turnkey options. Want to take a quick look at one of our venues? No worries, jump into our law firm corporate offices hosted on Spatial. You can find the link in this chapter of the book at mitchjackson.xyz or below in the show notes. Meta's Horizon Worlds offers a more social, avatar-based experience, tied tightly to the company's hardware and data policies. It's a recognizable name, but it's also heavily moderated, with limited creator freedom and little transparency. Decentraland, The Sandbox, and Roblox are three prominent metaverse platforms, each offering distinct virtual experiences. Decentraland is a decentralized, blockchain-based world where users can buy virtual land as NFTs, build environments, and monetize experiences using the Mana token. The Sandbox also operates on blockchain technology and focuses heavily on creator-owned assets, empowering users to design games and assets that can be traded or monetized with its native sand token. In contrast, Roblox is a centralized platform popular with younger audiences, offering user-generated games and social experiences within a vast, interconnected environment, though it lacks blockchain integration. All of the platforms mentioned in this chapter illustrate the spectrum of metaverse possibilities, from open, decentralized economies to highly curated mainstream digital worlds. Options like immersive tech studios such as Scalable offer full turnkey and design services, making it easier than ever for brands to build custom metaverse experiences without needing in-house developers or 3D artists. From virtual showrooms and branded social hubs to NFT integrations and spatial commerce, Scalable handles everything from concept to deployment, allowing businesses to focus on storytelling, user engagement, and ROI. Most of the top metaverse spaces are built with Unity and Unreal Engine. Full design and creation powerhouses for those who want full control. These aren't plug-and-play platforms, they're creation engines. You can build anything, but you also carry the full weight of development, hosting, security, and updates. You're not just a brand, you're a builder, a landlord, and a maintenance crew. Every platform comes with a trade-off: reach versus control. If you want plug-and-play ease, you'll likely pay a premium and live under restrictions. If you want ownership and flexibility, be ready to build your own infrastructure or hire someone who can. Centralized or decentralized? It's more than a buzzword. Some creators are drawn to decentralized metaverse platforms like Decentraland or The Sandbox. These platforms give you a slice of digital real estate that you can own on-chain. You can sell, rent, modify, or even transfer it, just like property in the real world. It feels liberating. And it can be, if you're ready for the responsibility. Decentralized platforms give you more freedom, but they demand more from you in return. You're responsible for your smart contracts, your compliance, your customer support. There's no central authority to fix your mistakes or handle refunds. And sometimes, decentralized means the platform founders still hold key decision-making power behind the scenes. So don't confuse blockchain-based with bulletproof fairness. Ask who controls the keys, who governs the rules, who decides when updates happen, and whether your assets get affected. There's no right or wrong choice here. There's only what works for the way you want to build. Security isn't a bonus, it's a deal breaker. When you build on a metaverse platform, you're not just uploading content, you're linking wallets, transacting assets, logging user behavior, running events, and if the platform doesn't take security seriously, your entire business is exposed. Look at past data breaches. Look at uptime guarantees. Look at wallet integrations and encryption practices. Do they let users toggle two-factor authentication? Do they have a real team handling vulnerability disclosures? Don't get lured in by graphics and marketing. Ask about audits. Ask about data jurisdiction. Ask how they handle identity theft or asset fraud. Your brand's trust depends on your platform's backbone. If they fail, you take the hit, even if it wasn't your fault. Interoperability. Can you leave if you want to? Let's say your business takes off. You want to expand, host in-person events that link to your metaverse storefront. You want to move from one platform to another, or even build a cross-platform experience. Can you? Some platforms will let you port assets, experiences, and users. Others will trap you. Their file types are proprietary. Their user data is locked. Their APIs are limited or non-existent. You don't want to be the brand stuck inside a walled garden with no door out. Ask if your assets can be exported. Ask if user data is portable. Ask what happens if the platform shuts down or pivots. You need flexibility, not a digital prison. Because the worst thing that can happen to your virtual business isn't slow growth. It's being stuck in a place that no longer serves your goals, and not being able to leave. Monetization isn't just a button, it's a relationship. Every platform makes money off your success. The question is how and how much. Some platforms take steep revenue cuts, especially if they provide visibility and hosting. Others let you keep more but expect you to do all the work: marketing, support, moderation. Before committing, look at the fine print. What percentage do they take? Do they charge for updates or asset uploads? Are there hidden costs tied to user volume, traffic, or features? And ask yourself, are you being paid in real currency or some internal token with no clear value? If a platform requires you to monetize through its token economy, study it carefully. Who controls the token? How stable is its price? Are there withdrawal fees or lock-in periods? A bad monetization deal will starve your business, no matter how great your product is. A fair one will let you reinvest, scale, and breathe. Platform-specific rules can make or break your strategy. Every platform comes with quirks. Some limit file sizes or formats. Some ban specific content categories. Some require pre-approval for features. Others restrict how you engage users, what you can say, sell, or show. These rules matter. Imagine designing a beautiful interactive showroom only to find the platform caps performance at 10 users per room. Or creating an immersive campaign that gets flagged for violating their promotion policies. Know the boundaries before you build. Talk to other creators. Test a basic version before scaling. This is your digital storefront. You deserve to know the fine print before hanging your sign. In plain terms, choosing your metaverse platform isn't a technical chore, it's a leadership decision. It sets the tone for your brand, your user experience, your revenue stream, and your legal exposure. You don't need the flashiest option. You need the one that matches your values, your audience, and your ambition. The one that grows with you, not the one that traps you. Pick with intention. Don't just follow hype. And once you've found your digital home, it's time to make it feel like one. In the next chapter, we'll talk about designing immersive, brand-safe 3D environments that actually work. For users, for business, and for the kind of impact you're trying to create. Let's build something that lasts. Chapter 4. Branding your virtual venue and experience. Here's the truth. If you think branding in the metaverse is just a new logo slapped on a floating 3D cube, you're missing the whole point. Branding in spatial commerce isn't flat. It's alive. It walks, talks, breathes, and pulls people in, or pushes them out. It's not what you say your brand is. It's what people feel the moment they step into your virtual space. That moment of presence, the second someone drops into your world, is your first impression. And in the metaverse, that impression isn't a homepage or a tagline. It's the venue itself, the sound, the lighting, the way they move through it, how they feel while they're there, what they remember after they leave. This chapter is about building spaces that matter and protecting the identity you're creating so no one else can claim it. Don't build a room, build a feeling. It's easy to get caught up in texture packs, polygon counts, and interactive features. But before you hit render, ask yourself this: what do I want people to feel in this space? Calm, excitement, trust, mystery, joy? The most successful 3D venues are less about showing off and more about showing up, delivering on a promise your brand makes in every other touchpoint. If your brand is playful, your space better invite curiosity. If you're high-end, your venue should whisper exclusivity with every corner. This is the opposite of a cookie-cutter template. You are not designing a Zoom background. You're shaping an experience people remember and talk about. Every decision matters: where the light hits the floor, the speed of the door opening, the height of a ceiling, whether there's music, and what kind. In the metaverse, architecture is emotional storytelling, and that story sticks. Think like a director, not just a designer. Imagine your venue is a film set. Where's the camera? Where do people enter? What do they see first? Where are they led next? This isn't about building something beautiful and hoping for the best. It's about directing an experience, wayfinding. The art of helping users intuitively move through your world is more than signage. It's flow, movement, the difference between a venue people wander through and one they feel guided by. Even color plays a role. Warm tones draw people in. Cool tones signal professionalism or distance. High contrast attracts attention, while soft gradients calm the mind. And just like in film, silence matters too. Don't cram every corner with noise. Let people breathe. Give them pause. The best spaces know when to pull back, not just push forward. This kind of intentional design isn't extra, it's the job. Protect the look and feel before someone else copies it. You worked hard to craft an experience that feels uniquely yours. So why risk someone copying it and confusing your audience? That's where trade dress comes in. In plain terms, trade dress is the visual appearance of your brand space that tells people, this is us. Think colors, layout, signage, 3D arrangements, even user flows. If it's distinctive and tied to your identity, it may be protectable. Now, trade dress law isn't a magic wand. You can't protect generic design or things that are purely functional. But if your space has a specific look and feel that serves as a source identifier for your brand, and you've been consistent in its use, you may have a legal claim if someone rips it off. The first step? Document everything. Screenshots, design files, dates of use. And if your venue is becoming central to your business, talk to an attorney about how to protect it, because the copycats are watching. In the meantime, digitally watermark your files. Monitor your competitors. Stay sharp. Don't forget the sound. Yes, we're talking about sound in a branding chapter. Because in a spatial venue, sound is brand. Whether it's ambient music, voiceover, or directional audio cues, what people hear inside your venue shapes how they interpret your message. Silence can be cold. Generic music feels lazy. But the right sound at the right time? That's sticky. It gets inside people's memory. Want your brand to feel luxurious? Don't play a ukulele loop. Want it to feel rebellious? Swap the smooth jazz for something that bites. Sound design is the emotional undercurrent of your space, and in a medium that engages more than just sight, ignoring it is like filming a movie with no audio. Design for engagement, not just aesthetics. A stunning venue is worthless if no one interacts with it. A truly powerful brand space invites people to do something. That could mean clicking to explore, unlocking content as they move, participating in a live event, or solving a small puzzle. Your goal isn't passive attention, it's active immersion. Think of navigation like stage direction. Every path should lead somewhere meaningful. Dead zones, glitchy walls, or confusing UX? They're the virtual equivalent of a locked front door with a closed sign taped to it. Make sure your layout works across devices, not just desktop VR. Many users will enter via mobile or browser. If they can't move easily, you've lost them before they even start. Test your venue with people who've never seen it before. Watch where they struggle. Adjust. Iterate. Great branding isn't built once, it's tuned over time. Your name and venue design deserve legal backup. If you've created a unique venue with a memorable name or original architectural layout, you don't just have a brand, you own one. But only if you've taken steps to protect it. File trademarks for your venue name if it's tied to your business identity. If you've designed a specific visual experience, explore whether parts of it are copyrightable or protectable under trade dress law. And don't stop there. Secure your domain. Claim your handle on every platform. Monitor for misuse. If someone tries to imitate your work or ride your brand equity, you'll need proof that you owned it first. Ownership in the metaverse isn't just about what you create. It's about what you register, what you defend, and what you consistently stand behind. And the good news? You don't have to be a megacorp to do this. Even small businesses can and should lock down their virtual identity. Because in this space, speed is nice, but protection is power. Let's bring it home. If your venue feels like a brochure, you've already lost. But if it feels like a world, one people want to step into, stay inside, and come back to, you've built something real. Something that makes your brand unforgettable. Design with purpose. Build for feeling. Protect what's yours. Your venue isn't just where business happens. It's where your brand comes alive. And once that experience is built, it needs a face, a voice, a persona. That's where we're headed next. In the following chapter, we'll tackle avatar design, brand identity, and the art of showing up through digital characters that represent your values, team, and voice. Let's give your space someone to welcome people in. Chapter 5. Avatar design, identity, and brand representation. In the metaverse, your avatar isn't just a costume, it's your handshake, your smile, your customer service rep, brand ambassador, and community voice all wrapped into one visual identity. So why are so many businesses still showing up looking like a blank slate or a cartoon gimmick? The way your avatar looks, moves, dresses, and interacts is the front line of how people perceive your business. This isn't just about design. It's about presence, trust, and credibility in a space where body language is made of pixels, and personality is conveyed through voice modulation and digital wardrobe choices. Whether you're a solo creator running a niche gallery or a Fortune 100 brand, building a retail empire across virtual platforms, your avatar strategy speaks louder than your logo. So make sure it says what you mean. Your avatar is your first impression. Treat it like one. The moment your avatar walks into a space, you're being judged. Not in a harsh, critical way, but in a human way. People scan, decode, and interpret who you are in a flash. Are you confident or passive, approachable or rigid, current or outdated? Your avatar is how you say, "This is what we stand for," without opening your mouth. A stiff, low-effort avatar sends the wrong message. It tells your audience you didn't care enough to show up well. And in a space where attention is a currency, that lack of effort will cost you. Custom avatars allow you to fully control that message. From hairstyle to accessories to movement style, every choice either supports or undercuts your brand. Mitch personally used different avatars for different settings. When he's wearing his lawyer hat in a business meeting or consultation, he usually shows up in a sharp suit. But if Mitch is meeting friends to talk about a new startup or catching a game on the big screen, yes, you can do that in the metaverse, you might see him in jeans, shorts, and a t-shirt. He has 5 to 7 different avatars, each one tailored to the occasion. All it takes is a quick tap or click to change his appearance. If your team represents a high-end fashion brand, that should reflect in your avatar's wardrobe, posture, and the subtle confidence of its gestures. If you're running a quirky art community, your avatar should embody that energy, bold colors, expressive features, and playfulness baked into every animation. Don't default to platform presets unless you're prepared to look exactly like everyone else. That's not branding. That's blending in. Uniforms, voice, and visual consistency. If your business has employees or team members working in virtual space, you need a style guide, not just for your website or signage, but for your avatars. Think of it like a dress code, but smarter. Create consistent branding for uniforms. Decide how your customer-facing avatars sound. Will they use natural voice, voice modulation, or AI-generated speech? Set standards for posture, avatar gestures, and tone of communication. This matters just as much as your physical office policies. Maybe more. Because in the metaverse, your sales team doesn't just show up in a branded polo. They move through a fully immersive environment where everything from their wave to their facial expression is part of the brand experience. And this isn't about control for control's sake, it's about trust. Consistency builds comfort. Comfort builds loyalty. Whether a customer meets your team in Spatial, Meta, or Engage VR, your brand needs to feel like the same trusted presence every time. Uniforms and identity design anchor that experience. Name rights and legal protections. The business behind the avatar. Once your avatar starts acting as the face of your business, the legal conversation begins. If your avatar represents your brand, whether through live streams, product demos, or hosting virtual events, you need to think of it as intellectual property, and you need to protect it accordingly. This includes filing for copyright protection of its visual design, where applicable, registering trademarks for the avatar's name or pseudonym, and locking down your branding across platforms so no one else can impersonate you. You should also be crystal clear on who owns the avatar if it's created by a designer or development team. Get it in writing. If you're using outside help to create your avatars or animations, your contract should include IP transfer clauses that make ownership non-negotiable. This becomes even more important as avatars start to carry influence. We've already seen virtual influencers amass millions of followers and brand deals. If your avatar becomes a valuable business asset, the last thing you want is a messy fight over rights. So be proactive. Treat your avatar like any other business property, because that's exactly what it is. Social touchpoints and emotional signals avatars aren't just visual, they're emotional. They speak when you don't. They gesture when you're silent. They offer empathy, humor, authority, sometimes all in one conversation. And that makes them powerful connection points. In spatial commerce, where sales and support can happen through real-time avatar interaction, you have to ask, how is your avatar showing up? Is it warm and engaging, or cold and scripted? Is it too robotic, or too informal? Is the facial animation uncanny or comforting? Every smile, nod, and pause becomes part of how people feel about your business. That's the difference between a customer saying, "That was cool," and "That felt like talking to a real person." The best brands in spatial environments aren't just using avatars to be present, they're using them to be human. That might mean training your team on avatar etiquette. It could mean building emotional scripts, or using AI-powered avatars with empathy modules designed to de-escalate or delight. In every case, your avatar is a walking billboard for what your brand feels like, so make sure it feels right. Protecting identity across platforms. Here's where things get tricky. The metaverse isn't one place. It's dozens of platforms, each with its own rules, avatar styles, and customization options. That means your avatar can look great in one world and totally off-brand in another. To build trust and stay recognizable, you need to plan for cross-platform consistency. That might involve working with a design team to create modular avatar templates that translate across engines, or using interoperability standards, when available, To maintain visual identity from spatial to engage VR or Horizon worlds or other Unreal-based environments. It's not about being identical everywhere, it's about being unmistakably you. Think of it like brand typography or voice in the physical world. Your website, print ads, and social media don't look the same, but they all feel the same. They follow the same identity rules. That's your goal with avatars. Adapt to the platform without losing your core identity. And yes, this takes effort. But it's the kind of effort that builds real brand equity, because people start to recognize your team across every touchpoint, and that recognition turns into trust. If you remember one thing from this chapter, it should be the following. In the metaverse, avatars aren't fluff. They're frontline. Their strategy, personality, marketing, and legal property all wrapped into one digital body. If you want to be taken seriously in spatial commerce, you can't treat your avatar like an afterthought. Design it with purpose, protect it with law, train it like it matters, because it does. And once your avatar is standing tall, it's time to start thinking about what happens behind the scenes, the contracts that power your business, the rules you need to write down, and the fine print that keeps things fair. That's where we're headed next. In the next chapter, we'll dive into contracts, terms of use, and smart agreements, because showing up is only part of the game. Knowing how to protect what happens when people show up? That's how you win. Chapter 6. Contracts, terms of use, and smart agreements. You wouldn't walk into a real-world business deal, shake hands, and say, "Let's just figure it out later." So why are so many business owners in the metaverse doing exactly that? Here's the truth most people avoid. If your metaverse business isn't grounded in clear contracts and enforceable agreements, you're building on digital quicksand. It doesn't matter how stunning your avatar is or how much foot traffic your virtual storefront gets. If you don't define the rules, someone else will, and it won't be in your favor. This chapter is about drawing your lines before someone crosses them. Whether you're selling digital goods, running live events, licensing content, or managing a decentralized, autonomous organization, your contracts need to be more than afterthoughts. They need to be armor. The business of virtual promises. Contracts in the metaverse aren't just legal safety nets. They're business tools. They define expectations, prevent disputes, and keep your business from becoming a courtroom horror story. When you're selling goods or services in immersive space, virtual wearables, architectural builds, branded experiences, NFT access tokens, you need written terms. Even if you're using blockchain-based delivery, even if your deal started with a handshake in a Discord server, a proper contract says, "Here's what I'll do, here's what you'll do, here's what happens if things go sideways." That clarity keeps partners, creators, clients, and users honest. And if something goes wrong, that written agreement is what lets you enforce your rights across borders, platforms, and jurisdictions. Verbal promises don't scale. PDFs do. Smart contracts do. Signed terms of use do. Smart contracts. Code that commits. A smart contract is a self-executing agreement written in code and stored on a blockchain. It does what it's programmed to do, automatically. No human intervention required, no middlemen, just conditions and consequences. Sounds simple. But here's where it gets complicated. Smart contracts are great for simple binary actions. If X happens, do Y. Perfect for minting NFTs, splitting royalties, distributing revenue, or granting access after purchase. They're terrible for complex human judgment. They don't understand intent, context, or nuance. They don't mediate disputes or renegotiate terms. If a client misses a deadline because their internet died, a smart contract doesn't care. It just locks them out. That might be efficient, but it can wreck relationships and business. So ask yourself, what's better handled by code, and what needs the human touch? Smart contracts work best when paired with written agreements that handle the rest. Warranties, refunds, limitations, intellectual property rights, and governing law. Think of smart contracts as the engine, not the GPS. You still need a legal map, click wraps, and terms of use. Read before entering. If users can access your metaverse space, download assets, or engage with your avatar-based services, they need to agree to terms, not just for your protection, but for theirs too. Click wrap agreements, those little I agree boxes users click before entering or transacting, are enforceable if drafted properly, and they can be your first line of defense against misuse, abuse, or legal mess. Your terms of use should clearly spell out what people can and can't do inside your virtual experience. What's allowed, what's not. What happens if they cross the line? And yes, you need them even if your space is just for fun. Because once people start engaging, chatting, buying, interacting with AI agents or other users, the risk isn't theoretical anymore. Include disclaimers. Include behavioral guidelines. Include consequences for bad actors. And tie everything back to real-world legal jurisdictions so you're not chasing justice in the clouds. Click wraps are your digital front gate. Use them wisely. Venue clauses. Where the fight happens, disputes will happen. It's not a question of if, it's when. Someone won't deliver on time? A platform will go down during your launch? A client will ghost? A community member will claim ownership of shared work. When that happens, you'll want the fight to happen on your turf. That's why venue selection and governing law clauses matter. They decide which court or arbitration system gets to decide the case and under which country's laws. If you don't pick your jurisdiction in advance, you could end up battling a copyright claim in another country, in another language, under a legal system that doesn't protect you. So be clear, name the venue, choose the law, and make sure your contracts and click wraps back that up. This isn't about scaring people, it's about keeping things fair and giving your business the legal traction it needs to stand tall when challenged. Licensing terms. Who owns what and when? In the metaverse, ownership is blurry. Just because you minted an NFT doesn't mean you own the underlying artwork. Just because someone paid to access your 3D venue doesn't mean they can resell or reuse your content. And just because you hired a designer to create your avatar doesn't mean you have full IP rights. Every transaction in the metaverse should come with clear licensing terms. Are you granting a limited use license? Full commercial rights? Just display rights? Is redistribution allowed? What about derivatives? If you skip this step, you're asking for confusion, conflict, and copyright claims down the line. Spell it out. In contracts. In metadata. In smart contract terms if applicable. Licensing isn't red tape. It's clarity. And in an environment where digital content moves fast and gets copied even faster, clarity is how you survive. Managing user disputes and exit rights, people will leave. Disagreements will flare. Communities will fracture. Collaborations will end. What matters is how those exits are handled. Smart brands plan for this from the start. They write exit clauses into contracts. They define what happens to co-created content. They outline refund policies, takedown rights, and data removal processes. You don't need to expect the worst, but you do need to prepare for it. User disputes, especially in gamified or decentralized environments, can spiral quickly. One user flags another. Someone claims harassment. A parent complains their kid bought tokens they didn't understand. You need a playbook. Build in dispute resolution processes. Consider mediation before escalation. Create support channels that are clear and consistent. And above all, protect your business with agreements that aren't just legally sound, but ethically grounded. That's how you stay credible in a space built on community and trust. Your move contracts in the metaverse aren't optional. They're oxygen. They define the rules, manage the risks, and hold everything together when digital dreams meet real-world consequences. Don't wait until you've been burned to start writing things down. Whether it's a click wrap, a smart contract, or a licensing agreement, you need to think like a business owner, not just a creator. Define the relationship. Set expectations. Build guardrails. Because when you do, you don't just avoid chaos, you create clarity. And that's the foundation every serious virtual brand needs. Now that we've covered how to keep your house in order, the next chapter takes us into the messy reality of cross-border business. We're going deep into jurisdiction, venue, and what happens when a virtual dispute lands in a real-world courtroom. You've got the contracts, now it's time to enforce them. Let's talk law. Chapter 7. Jurisdiction, Venue, and Dispute Resolution in a Borderless World. Let's stop pretending the internet isn't real life. When your business lives in the metaverse, and your customers, partners, vendors, and users are scattered across time zones and languages, one thing becomes very real, very fast: conflict. Someone's going to break a contract. Someone's going to make a claim. Someone's going to sue. And when that happens, the question isn't whether your business will be affected, it's where, how, and under whose rules. This chapter is your legal compass. Because if you don't choose your jurisdiction and dispute process before things go sideways, you don't get to choose when it matters most. Someone else will choose for you. What happens when your business lives nowhere and everywhere? Here's the hard part about metaverse business. You might be incorporated in Wyoming, but your clients are in Singapore, your servers are in Germany, and your avatar-hosted events are run through a decentralized platform built by a team in Buenos Aires. So when a dispute arises, where does it go? This isn't theoretical, it's logistical. Because the internet doesn't erase the law, it complicates it. Every country has its own rules about contracts, content, privacy, and property. If you haven't spelled out your jurisdiction in your contracts, terms of service, or platform agreements, a court or an arbitrator could decide that a foreign law applies. That means foreign rules, foreign procedures, foreign penalties. You might wake up one morning to a lawsuit in a country you've never set foot in, and you'll have to defend yourself anyway. Avoiding this mess isn't about predicting every problem, it's about choosing your legal home base and putting that choice in writing. Venue clauses aren't just legal fine print, they're shields. A venue clause tells the world, this is where we'll handle our fights. It might say, all disputes will be resolved in the courts of California, or any conflict shall be submitted to arbitration in London under English law. That simple line can mean the difference between a manageable issue and an international disaster. If you don't include a venue clause, courts will decide for you, and their decision might be based on where the user was located, where your data was stored, or which country's consumer protection law gives them standing. In the metaverse, where everything crosses borders, you cannot afford to leave this blank. You've got options. You can anchor your venue to your company's jurisdiction. You can agree to resolve disputes through international arbitration bodies like the ICC or LCIA. Or you can use platform-based systems, but more on that in a minute. Whatever you choose, say it clearly. And make sure the user clicks I agree, because silence is surrender. Smart disputes need smarter resolution tools. Traditional litigation is slow. It's expensive. It's public. It can take years. In the metaverse, where business moves fast and most relationships begin digitally, dragging someone through court may not be your best move. Enter arbitration, mediation, and AI-assisted resolution. Arbitration is like private court. You pick the rules, you pick the arbitrators, you keep it confidential. It's enforceable in most countries and works well for commercial disputes, especially when both parties want to avoid public mess. Mediation is even more flexible. It's collaborative, voluntary. It brings in a neutral third party to help both sides reach a resolution. No ruling, just agreement. Mitch has been serving as a private mediator for years, and since 2020, in addition to traditional mediation options like in real-life conference rooms or Zoom, he's added metaverse mediations into his venue options. The tech lawyers and parties all seem to enjoy utilizing this option. And one more thing. We're now seeing early-stage experiments with AI-based mediation. Platforms offering avatar-led or text-based systems that walk users through complaints, match them with possible outcomes, and offer tailored resolutions based on past data. The upside? Speed, scalability, accessibility. The risk? AI doesn't always get context, and bad actors can game the system. Use AI-assisted mediation for small issues, user-to-user conflicts, or transactional glitches. But don't rely on it for complex legal disputes or high-stakes cases. For that, stick to the proven tools: well-drafted arbitration clauses, solid mediation frameworks, and expert human guidance. Platform disputes: the hidden clause that binds you. If you're building your metaverse business on someone else's platform, Meta, Roblox, Spatial, or a decentralized layer built on Ethereum, you've already agreed to their terms. Buried in their user agreements are clauses that govern everything from payment disputes to asset takedowns to ban appeals. These clauses often favor the platform, not you, and in many cases, they say the final word is theirs alone. You don't get to change these terms, but you do need to understand them. Before hosting a major event, launching a token, or selling branded goods through a metaverse platform, read the fine print. Know what their dispute process looks like. Know where you're vulnerable. And if you're building your own platform, you better write your own dispute terms with precision. Fair, but firm. Flexible, but enforceable. Because once the users show up, it's too late to renegotiate the rules. Global law is not optional. Running a metaverse business means you're already international. That means you need to understand how international law frameworks affect you. The United Nations Convention on Contracts for the International Sale of Goods, CISG. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. Cross-border copyright enforcement treaties. Digital asset taxation agreements. You don't have to memorize them, but you do need advisors who know how to apply them. Think of it this way: you're not just building a business. You're building a vessel that sails between digital harbors. Each port has its own rules. If you try to wing it, you'll get boarded. This is where having a well-drafted legal foundation saves you. Clear venue clauses, proper contract terms, dispute frameworks that align with your goals, not just your ideals. Action starts here. If the metaverse feels like the Wild West, then contracts are your boots, and venue clauses are your six-shooter. You're not just dealing with code and creativity. You're dealing with people, and people fight. Misunderstand. Back out. Go rogue. How you handle those moments defines your staying power. So pick your venue before someone else picks it for you. Choose your law before a foreign court surprises you. Build your dispute resolution plan before your inbox becomes a minefield. Because this is the difference between business and chaos, between building a brand and fighting for survival. Now that we've covered where and how to settle disputes, it's time to talk about what starts the financial engine in the first place: money. In the next chapter, we're diving into payment systems, crypto, global transactions, and what it really takes to accept funds across borders without inviting chaos. Let's get your virtual cash register ready. Chapter 8. Accepting payments and managing cross-border transactions. Let's talk about money. Not the hype, not the buzzwords. Just the raw, unfiltered reality of moving value in the metaverse. Because here's what every business owner eventually learns the hard way. Building a storefront in spatial commerce is easy. Getting paid, consistently, securely, and across borders, is not. In this chapter, we're pulling back the curtain on how payment actually works in the metaverse. Crypto, stablecoins, fiat rails, digital wallets, subscriptions, tax nightmares. It's all here. Sure, you can always interrupt the transaction process by bouncing out of the metaverse and doing business as usual via credit cards, PayPal, Stripe, or whatever. But let's talk about what's more fluid with the digital world when done correctly. Let's discuss protecting your revenue flow from chaos and making sure your customers can pay you from anywhere, anytime, without turning your operations into a compliance disaster. The currency question: what are you willing to accept? When you first set up your business, the temptation is to say yes to everything. Sure, I accept ETH. I accept PayPal. I accept tokens from some decentralized organization I barely researched. But here's the truth. Not all payment types are created equal. Each one carries trade-offs. Crypto gives you speed and borderless freedom, but it can also bring volatility, wallet security headaches, and regulatory landmines. Stablecoins like USDC or EURS offer more price predictability. They're popular in the metaverse because they behave more like dollars than casino chips. But not every customer is comfortable with them, and not every government is thrilled with them either. Traditional fiat payments, credit cards, ACH, wire transfers feel familiar, but they come with high fees, slow settlement times, interrupt the fully immersive process, and limited reach across certain regions. So what's the answer? Pick your payment stack based on who your customers are, where they live, and how much friction they're willing to tolerate. You don't need to accept everything, but you do need to accept the right things. And you need a system that doesn't collapse when one provider fails or one token crashes. Digital wallets, your storefront's cash register. In the metaverse, your digital wallet isn't just a place to store money, it's your payment gateway, your access pass, your loyalty tracker, and your transaction log. Choosing the right digital wallet for your business is like choosing the point-of-sale system in a physical store. If it's clunky or insecure, customers bounce. If it's flexible and smooth, they stick around. The most common types are custodial wallets, hosted by a third party, and non-custodial wallets, where users control their own private keys. Each one has risks. Custodial wallets offer simplicity, but if the provider goes down or gets hacked, your assets are frozen. Non-custodial wallets give you control, but with it comes liability such as no password recovery. For high-volume business operations, consider hybrid setups that separate treasury management from daily transactions. Use smart contracts to automate settlement. Use cold storage for large holdings. And always verify the wallet's compatibility with the platforms you're operating on. The last thing you want is a system that doesn't talk to your storefront or token system. Know your customers. Don't wait for a regulator to knock. If you're accepting payments from global customers, you're also accepting their legal baggage. Anti-money laundering and know your customer regulations are designed to prevent fraud, terrorism financing, and identity abuse. And in the eyes of regulators, I didn't know is not a defense. If your business handles crypto transactions, offers digital goods of value, or operates a metaverse marketplace, you may be considered a virtual asset service provider, VASP. And that comes with requirements. Collect basic user info, run risk checks, flag suspicious activity, keep clean transaction records. Yes, it adds friction. Yes, it sounds like bureaucracy, but if you don't handle compliance now, you may be handling subpoenas later. Partner with providers who offer built-in KYC tools, or build a lightweight version into your sign-up or checkout flow. Either way, the goal is to know who you're dealing with and have a record of it. Privacy matters, but so does accountability. Subscriptions, microtransactions, and recurring revenue. Want stability in your metaverse business? Recurring revenue is the goal. Whether you're offering digital memberships, exclusive access to venues, avatar perks, or premium content, you'll need a way to automate billing across time zones and currencies. That means building or integrating systems that support subscriptions, not just one-off purchases. Most Web 2 tools aren't built for metaverse complexity. You'll need a system that can handle fiat and crypto, integrate with your platform's identity system, and trigger access rights based on payment status. Think of it as a backstage pass. If someone stops paying, they lose access. That logic needs to run automatically. And don't forget to set refund policies and cancellation terms in your user agreement. If someone disputes a charge, you'll need to show clear terms and consistent enforcement. If you can't prove it, you'll eat the loss. Pricing and volatility. Don't let markets gut your margins. Crypto payments can be a blessing or a nightmare, depending on how you manage volatility. Say you sell a $100 digital product and accept payment in ETH. By the time you transfer the funds to your treasury wallet, ETH drops 15%. Your $100 just became $85. Repeat that enough times and your bottom line disappears. Solutions? Convert immediately to stablecoins or fiat at the point of sale. Use automated price oracles to set real-time pricing. Or stick to stablecoins for pricing altogether. You didn't start a business to become a full-time currency trader. Don't let your revenue depend on wild market swings unless that's part of your business model. If your customers insist on paying in volatile assets, set a time-based lock on value. For example, the price of this product is equal to $50 in ETH, as calculated at the time of checkout. And include that logic in your smart contracts and receipts. Clarity isn't just good UX, it's legal protection. Tax gets complicated. Fast. Every payment you accept could have a tax implication. Sales tax, VAT, crypto capital gains, income reporting, cross-border remittance taxes. If you don't have a process in place for logging, categorizing, and storing transaction records, your accountant, or the IRS, will have a problem with you. Use tools that tag transactions with location data, separate revenue streams by currency, track wallet addresses, automate reports by month, region, and product. Even if your tax team only checks it once a quarter, you'll be glad the records are clean. This is about understanding tax. It's about building a system that makes your life easier and your business credible. Because when regulators look at metaverse companies, they're not just looking for bad actors, they're looking for sloppy ones. Don't be one. What to do with this? Accepting payments in the metaverse is not just about adding a crypto checkout button or slapping a PayPal logo in your venue. It's about designing a system, technical, legal, and financial, that supports what you're building. Say yes to the payment methods that serve your customers and your sanity. Say no to shortcuts that open the door to legal chaos. These details matter, and planning ahead will help your metaverse business survive. And now that we've covered how to get paid and stay compliant, it's time to pull the bigger thread. What happens when those payments cross borders and governments want their slice? Next up, taxation in the metaverse. Because money might move fast in virtual space, but the taxman is always watching. Chapter 9. Global Taxation and Regulatory Compliance. Let's be honest, nobody gets excited about taxes. But if you're building a serious business in the metaverse, you better care. Because governments care. A lot. The moment money starts flowing into your digital venue, whether in crypto, fiat, or stablecoins, you're on the radar. And in 2025, that radar spans continents, not zip codes. This chapter is about power. Knowing how tax rules work in spatial commerce doesn't just protect you, it gives you control. Control over how you structure your business. Control over what you report. And most importantly, control over how much of your hard-earned digital revenue you actually get to keep. The metaverse isn't a loophole. For a while, some people treated the metaverse like a financial no man's land. It's just virtual, they said. No one's regulating this stuff. That fantasy is over. Tax agencies, from the IRS to the European Commission to regulators in Singapore and Dubai, are no longer sitting on the sidelines. They're writing rules, releasing guidance, filing charges, and they're treating your metaverse business just like any other real-world business, taxable. If you're selling goods or services, issuing NFTs, running subscription-based communities, or even managing a DAO, you're likely creating a tax obligation. It might be income tax, it might be VAT, it might be sales tax, but it's there. And if you're not reporting it, that silence becomes a liability. So don't wait for a letter in the mail, or worse, a crypto wallet freeze. Start thinking like a global business now. Digital sales tax and VAT, invisible until it isn't. If you're selling anything, digital wearables, branded NFTs, metaverse real estate, event tickets, you need to understand when and where sales tax or value-added tax, VAT, applies. In the US, states are moving aggressively to capture tax on digital transactions. And they don't care if the venue is virtual. If your customer is located in New York and you're doing business there, even digitally, you might owe New York sales tax. The EU takes this further. Their VAT laws apply to digital services sold to individuals across member states, which means if you're selling avatar upgrades to a customer in France, you may owe French VAT, even if your company is based in Estonia. The rules vary widely by country. Some base the tax on the buyer's location, others use the seller's. Some have thresholds before registration is required, others do not. But the principle is universal. If you're taking money, someone wants a piece of it. Solutions? Use tax automation tools that tag transactions by region and apply proper rates. Or work with tax advisors who specialize in international e-commerce and digital services. And for the love of your business, don't wait until the end of the year to start tracking this. Crypto income is still income. You might think receiving ETH or Bitcoin instead of USD gives you breathing room. It doesn't. Most tax authorities treat crypto as property. That means when you receive it as income, you recognize its value in fiat terms at the moment you receive it. And if that value goes up or down before you convert it or spend it, you might have capital gains or losses on top of your income. Let that sink in. You could owe taxes just for receiving crypto, and owe more taxes later when you use or sell it. And yes, it gets more complex with things like token airdrops, staking rewards, or DAO-based income distributions. Each one has its own tax treatment, depending on how your jurisdiction views it. So if you're collecting revenue in crypto, you need airtight records. Time-stamped, tracked, logged in fiat equivalents. Don't guess. Don't fudge. Because if a tax agency audits you, your "I didn't know" won't hold up against a blockchain explorer. Cross-border income reporting and withholding. Here's where it gets even trickier. Say you run a business based in the US, but your clients are in Canada, India, and Germany. You receive payments from each of them through a metaverse platform. Who reports the income? Who withholds taxes? Do you owe anything in those countries? Short answer: maybe. Many countries require non-resident businesses to report income generated from local customers. Some require tax to be withheld at the source. Others expect you to register and file even if you don't live there. There are treaties that can reduce or eliminate double taxation, but only if you file the proper paperwork. If you don't, you might get taxed twice, once in the buyer's country and again in yours. And if you're not careful, a regulator might classify your virtual presence as a permanent establishment, which could subject your business to corporate taxes abroad. So work with International Tax Council. Map your income flows. Figure out your filing obligations early, not when the penalties land in your inbox. This isn't just paperwork, it's protection. Platform-specific compliance isn't optional. If you operate on metaverse platforms like Meta, Roblox, Spatial, or Sandbox, you're bound by their financial compliance rules. That includes tax reporting, revenue thresholds, and sometimes even automatic withholding. Meta, for instance, may withhold income taxes based on your jurisdiction and designated status. Platforms with EU exposure may add VAT to your pricing and remit it on your behalf, but you're still responsible for accurate categorization. This is especially true if you run a virtual store, publish monetized games, or offer metaverse-based services on third-party platforms. Know their rules, know your forms, and don't assume they're covering your bases. Most platforms cover their own liability first, not yours. If your platform doesn't support clear tax compliance tools, that's a red flag. And it's a signal to start documenting everything manually until you find a better setup. Structuring for tax optimization. Without breaking the law. Can you build your metaverse business to be tax smart? Absolutely. You can register in countries with strong digital commerce treaties. You can form holding companies for IP rights. You can set up subsidiaries for specific jurisdictions. But there's a fine line between smart structuring and tax evasion. Use these structures to bring clarity, not confusion. To simplify your compliance, not obscure it. And make sure every layer of your setup has a legitimate business purpose. Shell companies with no substance are magnets for audits. If you're operating globally, consider forming in jurisdictions like Estonia, with their e-residency program, Singapore, with strong tax treaties, or the US, with state-by-state incentives and access to capital. Work with advisors who understand cross-border commerce. Don't just copy what a YouTube or TikTok finance influencer suggested, because when regulators show up, these video platforms won't save you. Record keeping is a survival skill. If your tax plan is, just check my wallet later, you're setting yourself up for disaster. You need a system that logs every transaction, the asset received, its value in fiat, the counterparties involved, the platform used, and any fees deducted. Keep screenshots. Use automated tracking tools. Back up your data in multiple places. And create quarterly snapshots of your books, even if your filings are annual. Because someday, someone's going to ask you, how much did you make in Q3 across your Polygon storefronts from German users? And if you can't answer, your liability just got more expensive. The core idea taxes in the metaverse aren't theoretical anymore. They're real, they're global, and they're already being enforced. You can either stay ahead of the system or get buried by it. That means taking compliance seriously, not as a punishment, but as part of building something durable. The businesses that will last aren't the ones chasing loopholes. They're the ones that build with integrity, structure, and a clear record of every move. So tighten up your books, talk to the right experts, track every transaction, because when your numbers are clean, your business moves faster, stronger, with less fear. And once your financial house is in order, you're ready to grow beyond borders. Next up, franchising, licensing, and building a metaverse brand that scales without losing its soul. Let's talk expansion. Chapter 10. Franchising, licensing, and expansion models. There comes a moment in every metaverse business when you look around your beautifully built world, your branded venue, your loyal audience, your revenue streams, and you ask the one question that separates small players from serious operators. How do I scale this without burning out? If you're here, it's because you're ready to grow. Not by doing more yourself, but by creating smart systems that let others carry your brand further than you ever could alone. That's where franchising and licensing step in. And no, these aren't just for burger chains or global gyms. They're for creators, for studios, for metaverse businesses who know their IP has value and want to build an empire without sacrificing soul. Let's break down how to do it right. What's the difference? Franchising versus licensing in the metaverse. Here's the cleanest way to think about it. Licensing is like lending someone your brand to use in a specific way, for a specific reason. It's hands-off. They don't represent you, they just use your asset. Franchising is bigger. It's a relationship. They're using your brand, your business model, your system. You're giving them playbooks, standards, and structure in exchange for royalties and control. In a spatial world, both can thrive. But the choice depends on how much oversight you want and how consistent your customer experience needs to be. A music creator might license their avatar for in-game performances across platforms. A virtual cafe brand might franchise entire venues inside different metaverse platforms, down to the scent diffusers and playlist rotation. If you care about preserving user experience, community tone, or brand vibe, franchising gives you guardrails. If you care more about reach than consistency, licensing might be the faster move. Protect first. Expand second. Before you license or franchise anything, You need to lock down what you're actually offering. That means filing trademarks on your brand name and logo, not just in your home country, but in any country where your virtual business will operate. It means protecting trade dress if you've got a unique layout, avatar uniform, or in-world interaction flow. It means registering copyright on your original content, from 3D models to training manuals. If you don't own it, you can't scale it. And if someone else rips you off, you'll have no leverage to stop them. Protect your house. Then invite people in. Control isn't just about power. It's about quality. Let's say you've built a franchise-ready business, immersive yoga studios inside Spatial, with signature guided sessions, lighting presets, and an AI avatar that greets every guest. Now someone in Dubai wants to open a version under your brand. Without standards, hard ones, your experience unravels fast. Maybe they replace your AI greeter with a different script. Maybe they skip your licensing music. Maybe they introduce a wellness upsell you never approved. Now your brand promise is compromised. And in the metaverse, word spreads fast. Smart franchisors solve this by issuing clear operating manuals, enforcing regular audits, and embedding quality control checks directly into the build, like required scripting, pre-approved assets, and metadata tracking. You're not micromanaging, you're protecting trust. Because once you lose that, you're no longer scaling, you're apologizing. Licensing is a revenue stream, not a free-for-all. Let's talk licensing done right. Say you own a popular digital pet brand. People love your NFT creatures. Now a game dev wants to feature them inside a multiplayer metaverse world. Great, license the IP, but get clear, fast. What are they allowed to do? Modify the pets? Resell them? Merge them with other characters? Use your logo? How are royalties structured? What's the term? What happens if they go bankrupt? Or worse, blow up and don't pay you? A license agreement should answer every question you don't want to deal with at 2 a.m. And it should give you audit rights. Because trust is great, but verification is better. Template agreements aren't enough, but they're a start. You'll need a strong legal foundation. Yes, that means solid contracts. No, that doesn't mean downloading a template from the internet and praying it holds up in court. Franchise agreements should cover operational requirements, performance benchmarks, IP ownership, training obligations, fees, dispute resolution, termination clauses, and renewal rules. They should also account for platform-specific restrictions, meta, spatial, etc., and digital asset rights. Licensing agreements should cover asset scope, exclusivity, royalty terms, renewal, transfer rules, and termination triggers. Start with a clear template, but finish with counsel who understands digital assets and cross-border law, because the metaverse doesn't play by one jurisdiction's rules. Revenue models, the math behind the growth. If you're scaling, get paid for it, smartly. Franchise models typically include an upfront fee, monthly royalties, often based on gross revenue, and sometimes ongoing marketing contributions. The key is to set fees that reflect the value of your system without pricing out your best partners. Licensing can be flat fee, royalty-based, or hybrid, and it can include milestone-based bonuses if, say, a game reaches a certain number of downloads using your asset. Whatever you choose, keep it simple, trackable, enforceable, and make sure you're not just monetizing the asset, but also preserving the brand equity that makes it worth anything to begin with. Keep expansion sustainable. You don't need 100 franchises to win in the metaverse. You need the right ones. Franchise too fast, and you'll dilute your experience. License too loosely, and your brand becomes noise. Grow with intention, not desperation. Use trial periods, pilot deals, beta launches, get feedback, iterate, improve, then scale. Because when you get it right, franchising and licensing aren't just growth strategies, they're force multipliers. They let you create a business that lives beyond your hours, a brand that thrives even when you log off. Wrap up. Scale. Without selling your soul, franchising and licensing in the metaverse aren't copy-paste strategies. They're invitations. Invitations to others to carry your idea, to represent your voice, to extend your vision into new spaces, with new people, on new terms. Do it right, and you create leverage. Do it wrong, and you'll be spending your time cleaning up messes you didn't make. So protect what's yours, share it with care, and grow with guardrails. Because the next phase of your business isn't just about you, it's about the people you trust to carry it forward. And speaking of people, the next chapter dives headfirst into the humans who make this world work, your customers. Let's talk consumer protection, accessibility, and building ethical standards that make your brand one worth believing in. Chapter 11. Consumer protection, accessibility, and ethical standards. Let's talk about trust. Not the kind that's built with a slogan or sold with a logo. I'm talking about the kind of trust that lives in how you treat people when no one's watching. The kind that shows up in the code you write, the designs you deploy, the defaults you set. In the metaverse, where reality is built pixel by pixel, how you handle people isn't an afterthought, it's everything. If you're serious about building a business that lasts, you can't just think about what's cool, what's profitable, or what's popular. You have to think about what's right, and what's fair, and who's left out. This chapter is about that. The ethics of design in a place without gravity. In the physical world, gravity keeps us grounded. There are walls, roads, laws, building codes. That's what forces us to think about ramps, signage, safety exits, and door widths. In the metaverse, none of that exists unless you build it, which means the moment you create a space, you become the architect of equity, or the reason someone can't get in. If you're designing an immersive venue for your brand, ask yourself, can everyone access it? Can a person with visual impairment navigate your 3D store? Can a customer who doesn't speak your language engage with your avatar rep? Can someone with limited dexterity participate in your gamified experience? ADA and Section 508 compliance don't disappear just because the world is virtual. They just look different. Captioned voice chat, alt text for 3D objects, keyboard navigation for VR, color contrast in neon spaces. Accessibility isn't charity, it's customer service. And when you build with it in mind, you don't just reach more people. You build loyalty with the ones who notice you thought of them. Stop manipulating people into staying. Let's talk about the digital elephant in the room. Dark patterns. These are design choices that aren't just sneaky, they're predatory. Think endless reward loops designed to trigger dopamine. Think friction-loaded exits that trap people in purchases. Think avatars that mimic real humans to sell you something without disclosure. If your platform or venue depends on tricking people into buying, staying, or clicking, your brand isn't a business. It's bait. And that doesn't just kill your credibility, it opens you up to legal risk. Laws are tightening. Regulators are watching. Users are learning to spot the difference between an engaging experience and a manipulative one. Design for clarity. Design for consent. Design like your users matter, because they do. Disclose first, then interact. If you're running ads in immersive environments, the old rules still apply. Disclose clearly and early. That means sponsored experiences must be labeled. Influencer avatars need to state they're paid. In-world promotions should never be disguised as organic content. And no, burying a disclosure 5 clicks deep behind a spinning 3D logo doesn't count. The FTC hasn't left the building just because the building is made of voxels. If your avatar is selling, say so. If your environment includes product placement, market. If your AI guide suggests a service, let users know whether that recommendation is sponsored or based on preferences. When people feel tricked, they don't buy, they bolt. But when people feel informed, they stay loyal. Ethics isn't an add-on. It's the blueprint. If you've ever walked through a dark hallway and hit your shin on a badly placed bench, you know what bad design feels like. Now imagine that same feeling, but your avatar has no way out. The exit menu is buried, and you're being upsold digital sneakers by a talking mushroom in a foreign language. Bad design is more than annoying. It's alienating. Sometimes it's unsafe. Ethical design is more than feel-good fluff. It's a filter. It asks, who gets hurt here? Who gets left out? Who might misuse this feature? And it builds with those questions in mind. Think about your avatar onboarding flow, your refund policy, your dispute resolution tool. Do they respect people's time, attention, and autonomy? If your user has to work hard to say no, cancel, or leave, your design is broken. Fix it. Building for everyone is how you win. Here's the truth. Inclusive design isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a growth engine. The metaverse is global, neurodiverse, multilingual, multimodal. Your customers aren't all sitting in ergonomic chairs with perfect vision and high-end headsets. They're logging in from phones, kiosks, and patched-together rigs from every corner of the planet. The businesses that win won't be the ones with the flashiest assets. They'll be the ones that work for the most people. Design with subtitles as a standard. Build spaces that adapt to different interaction levels. Offer avatars with diverse skin tones, genders, and expressions. Not just the ones that look like Silicon Valley execs. Because when people feel seen, they stay. Lead like someone's watching, because they are. If you're reading this, you're not just building a business, you're building a place, and people will show up. They'll bring their money, their kids, their stories, their trauma, their dreams. The question is, what will your space do with them? Will it protect them? Will it include them? Will it treat them like numbers or like humans? Your terms of service matter. Your refund flow matters. Your avatar behavior settings matter. Your moderation protocols matter. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional, because in this space, integrity travels faster than advertising. No fluff, just this. Consumer protection, accessibility, and ethics aren't side quests. They are the story. They shape how people experience your brand, how they talk about you when you're not in the room, and how long they stick around when they are. So take the time to build right. Ask the uncomfortable questions. Work with experts who've seen the consequences of doing it wrong. And make your business the kind of place people feel safe bringing their real selves to. Because when you get that right, everything else becomes easier. This includes community, sales, reputation, and retention. Next, we shift from protecting your customers to connecting with them. Chapter 12 dives into the heartbeat of business in the metaverse, how to communicate, sell, and build real community through 3D experiences that move people, not just metrics. Let's go there. Chapter 12. Communication, Sales, and Community Engagement in 3D. If you think people buy from you because you have the best product, think again. People buy from people. From stories, from emotion, from connection. That's not new. What is new? The fact that now those conversations, stories, and sales can happen inside 3D spaces, in real time, through avatars that move, speak, and feel a whole lot more human than an email ever could. You're not just managing a brand anymore. You're hosting a presence, one that breathes, one that interacts. And in the metaverse, how you show up, with your voice, your gestures, your responsiveness, your vibe, that is your business card. The voice behind the avatar. In immersive commerce, voice isn't just a tool, it's the trust builder. A monotone, scripted avatar rep will kill the mood fast, but one with a voice that sounds warm, responsive, and human? That avatar sells. That avatar builds loyalty. That avatar feels like someone who cares. Add in eye contact, gestures, proximity, and suddenly you're recreating a conversation that feels natural, even if it's happening between a person in California and a digital concierge operated by someone in Singapore. You don't need a Hollywood production to pull this off. You need intentionality. Train your avatar reps the same way you'd train a high-end hotel concierge. Be real, be kind, be quick, be helpful. And remember, just because your avatar is a bunny in a blazer doesn't mean it shouldn't be held to real-world communication standards. Sales that don't feel like selling. Nobody logs into the metaverse hoping to be sold to, but that doesn't mean they're not there to buy. Great sales in 3D feel like guidance, not pressure. Picture a customer wandering your virtual shop. They pause at a display. Your avatar glides over, not to pitch, but to ask a question. They respond. You listen. You suggest. That exchange becomes a sale because it felt like help, not hustle. This isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. That's the whole point. The magic of immersive sales is personalization at scale. AI can support this, from recommending products based on avatar behavior to translating speech in real time. But it's still the human layer that seals the deal. The goal isn't to close fast. It's to make your metaverse venue the kind of place people come back to because it felt like somewhere they belonged. Support that feels like a superpower. Customer support in the metaverse shouldn't feel like a call center in cosplay. It should feel like teleporting into a safe space where someone sees you, hears you, and helps you without judgment. The best support happens live, in real time, with an avatar who listens and responds. But it also scales with well-designed chatbots, intuitive menus, and AI agents trained to handle repetitive or low-sensitivity tasks. Done right, this kind of support doesn't just fix problems. It makes people feel valued. Remember, a glitch is frustrating. A glitch paired with a helpful avatar who calmly explains what's going on? That's retention. Speak every customer's language. If your venue only supports English, you're leaving money on the table. The metaverse is borderless. That means your audience is global, and so is your responsibility to meet people where they are. Real-time translation tech can help your avatar speak over 100 languages. So why let a language barrier block a potential connection? But this goes beyond words. Language accessibility also means supporting neurodiverse users, those with hearing impairments, and folks who prefer reading over talking. Offer captions. Offer text chat. Offer menus in multiple formats. Design your communications like everyone's invited, because they are. Build community like you mean it. Communities don't form just because you opened a space. They form because people feel safe, seen, and supported there. You want loyalty? You want referrals? You want your customers to do your marketing for you? Build a community, not just a customer list. That means hosting events. It means building forums where users can meet. It means rewarding participation with access, perks, recognition, not just discount codes. And it means moderation. Strong, consistent, clear moderation policies are the backbone of any healthy 3D community. Think less like a vendor and more like a venue host. Set the tone. Make the space feel like a party people want to come back to and bring their friends. Relationships, not reach. Too many brands still treat the metaverse like it's TikTok with headsets. It's not. Your job isn't to broadcast. It's to engage, to make every avatar who walks through your virtual doors feel like they matter. If your business is present but not present, no live support, no events, no active community, you're wasting the best part of the medium. Presence beats perfection. Show up, show you care, talk to people, listen to them, remember their names, surprise them with generosity. That's how you build a brand people fight for. Put this into play. The tools are here. The platforms are ready. The stage is set. Your job now is to bring your brand to life in a way that people can feel, not just see. Communication, sales, and community building in 3D isn't about adding more noise. It's about creating real moments of connection that cut through the noise. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into how AI agents and automation can scale everything you've just learned, without losing the human touch that makes it matter. Chapter 13. Using AI agents and automation to operate smarter. Running a business in the metaverse is like running a 24/7 theme park. People show up from different time zones, on different devices, with different expectations. If you try to personally meet all those needs on your own, you will burn out fast. That's where AI agents and automation come in, not as gimmicks, but as your tireless digital co-founders, assistants, and frontline reps. And no, this isn't about robots replacing humans. It's about giving people more time to do what humans do best: create, connect, lead, imagine. When done right, AI isn't about outsourcing effort. It's about reclaiming purpose. Deploying AI avatars, the first digital teammates. Imagine walking into a sleek 3D showroom. You're greeted not by silence or a clunky menu, but by an avatar who welcomes you by name, knows your purchase history, and answers your questions like a seasoned expert. That's an AI agent. These avatars can operate in sales, support, onboarding, moderation, and even education. They work across time zones. They don't sleep. They can be programmed to follow detailed scripts or learn from behavior patterns. And yes, you can train them to reflect your brand's tone and values. The upside is clear: scalability without sacrificing presence. A single AI agent can do the work of dozens of support reps, if configured with care. But there are risks. Poorly designed AI interactions feel fake, or worse, frustrating. And if something goes sideways, like a bot giving financial advice it shouldn't, liability is real. So while these agents are powerful, they must be thoughtfully governed. Creating guardrails, policy, training, and role definition. AI agents can go rogue, not like in sci-fi movies, but in subtler, sneakier ways. A chatbot might start answering questions outside its scope. A sales avatar might make unapproved claims. That's why you need a clear internal policy. What can the agent say, do, and decide? What should it escalate? You also need documentation, testing, and logs. Think of it as your AI employee handbook. Spell out roles, limitations, tone, and training cycles. Most platforms allow for varying levels of autonomy. Use the lowest possible level until the tech proves it deserves more freedom. And monitor everything. Another tip: assign human oversight. You need a person or team who acts as the AI supervisor, not to micromanage every task, but to regularly audit conversations, fix errors, and adjust strategy based on what the agents are actually doing. Managing liability. Who's responsible? When the AI screws up, here's where things get legal, and fast. If your AI avatar misrepresents a refund policy or promises a service you don't offer, your company is liable. The AI is your agent. It doesn't get to plead ignorance. So what do you do about it? Start by building indemnification language into your contracts with platform providers. If they host or power your AI agents, and those agents malfunction due to back-end flaws, you need some form of protection. Then take a second look at your own terms of use. Most businesses need to update their legal docs to reflect AI touchpoints. You should also have clear disclaimers in your user interface. When is a human speaking, and when is an AI speaking? This builds trust and protects you. The transparency here isn't just ethical, it's smart. Tying AI agents to the core of your business. Systems that talk. One common mistake? Deploying AI in isolation. A great avatar that can't access your CRM is like a friendly barista who doesn't know what coffee you ordered yesterday. To make AI agents actually effective, connect them to your business systems. Your CRM, analytics dashboards, loyalty programs, inventory logs, all of it. If you're using blockchain-based smart contracts for certain transactions, sync that data too. Let your AI agents act based on real, current information. That means using APIs, integrations, and platform tools that support data flow across systems. And yes, it takes some setup. But once in place, your AI avatar becomes a true operator. It can offer discounts based on past behavior, flag suspicious patterns, upsell based on real preferences. It stops guessing and starts knowing. A real-world reminder: AI is still a tool, not a vision. It's easy to get caught up in the sci-fi spin, but at the end of the day, AI agents are tools. You decide what they do. You decide who they serve. You decide what kind of business you're building in the metaverse, one that puts automation on autopilot, or one that uses tech to make human work matter more. This chapter is about what AI agents can do, and at the same time, it's about what you want them to stand for. Do they reflect care, accountability, clarity, or do they reflect laziness, inattention, and chaos? Next up, we'll talk about the people behind the systems. Chapter 14 breaks down how to hire, manage, and scale virtual and hybrid teams that actually thrive inside 3D environments. Because no matter how smart your AI is, people still make or break your business. Chapter 14: Hiring, Managing, and Scaling Virtual and Hybrid Teams. Let's be honest, most business leaders weren't trained for this. Managing people you've never met in person? Hiring someone based on avatar chemistry? Conducting onboarding inside a floating glass dome surrounded by a pixelated ocean? Welcome to the metaverse workplace. It sounds surreal until you do it. Then it becomes clear. The old rules don't fit. But that doesn't mean we throw out structure. It means we build new ones that work for where we're going. That's what this chapter is about. Building a real, thriving team in a space where borders dissolve, identities stretch, and leadership requires more than just a good Wi-Fi connection. Rewriting HR in spatial commerce. First, toss out your flat PDFs and dusty HR binders. In the metaverse, contracts live on-chain, compensation is tracked in real time across currencies, and performance reviews don't happen in a conference room. They unfold inside 3D workspaces with interactive dashboards and spatial collaboration tools. But don't confuse flair with substance. Every employment relationship, whether avatar-based or not, still needs a backbone, a clear agreement. Your virtual HR should start with employment contracts that cover not just roles and responsibilities, but virtual behavior expectations, platform-specific rules, and what happens when things go wrong. Freelancers, global contributors, and part-time collaborators? Their agreements should reflect that flexibility, but still lock down data protection, IP transfer, payment timing, and jurisdiction. If your business touches US users but your team member is in Singapore, you can't just figure it out later. Pay, perks, and productivity in pixels. Salary negotiations get tricky when your developer wants to be paid partly in stablecoins and your marketer wants bonuses in NFT skins. Compensation structures in the metaverse must be both adaptable and auditable. Cryptocurrency-based payroll is no longer niche, but it comes with real tax implications, wallet management issues, and cross-border reporting headaches. If you're paying employees in crypto, keep pristine records, understand your local obligations, and make sure your payment systems are KYC and AML compliant. You don't want a team member's bonus triggering a regulatory inquiry. Perks look different here too. Virtual office access, custom avatar upgrades, private mentorship pods, or token-based equity all fall into the new category of spatial perks. They work best when they make your team feel valued, seen, and part of something meaningful, not just when they look cool. As for tracking productivity, forget keyboard loggers and rigid 9-to-5 metrics. Look at time spent in collaborative spaces, project delivery benchmarks, peer feedback inside the platform, and the quality of immersive participation. Building culture without coffee machines. Let's talk about the soul of your organization. Because without a strong cultural spine, your metaverse team won't last, no matter how pretty your HQ looks or how many avatars show up to your Monday huddle. Culture in spatial workspaces isn't built by chance. It's built through intentional rituals, shared language, and visual cues that communicate belonging. That could mean monthly team quests, branded uniforms, or public shoutouts that light up inside your virtual venue. Inclusion must be deliberate. That means clear communication guidelines for multilingual teams. It means making sure every platform is accessible to people with disabilities. It means training your managers on how to lead with empathy through avatars. If you want loyalty, you need connection. And connection comes from trust, built in dozens of tiny interactions. Voice, tone, presence, timing. It matters. Especially when your team member's face is a dog in a suit. The risk is real. Legal safety nets. Now for the part no one likes talking about until it's too late. Legal exposure. Hiring in the metaverse doesn't mean skipping labor laws just because the office floats in cyberspace. Every country still has its own employment protections, tax rules, and contractor classification tests. Mislabel someone, and you could face fines, lawsuits, or worse. Use clear onboarding checklists, draft strong NDAs, have dispute resolution clauses that work across borders, and for the love of all things virtual, get insurance that covers cyber liability and remote workforce compliance. One more warning. Be careful with algorithmic management tools. If you're using AI to monitor work or assign tasks, document your processes and make sure they don't unintentionally discriminate or violate employee rights. Just because it's automated doesn't mean it's immune from scrutiny. Real talk hiring in the metaverse isn't about chasing the next trend. It's about building a team that works across time zones, platforms, and paradigms. That requires clarity, consistency, and cultural depth. Smart contracts don't replace smart leadership. Tokens don't replace trust. If you want to scale, start with structure. If you want your team to thrive, lead with humanity. Now that we've nailed how to build your team, it's time to keep that team's data safe. Next up, privacy, cybersecurity, and how to protect what matters most, your people and your platform. Chapter 15. Privacy, Cybersecurity, and Data Protection in the Metaverse. Welcome to the wild digital west, where your avatar might wear a cowboy hat, but your real risk is a data breach. The metaverse isn't just about pixels and pretty landscapes. It's a place where personal data moves fast, devices listen closely, and businesses collect more than just foot traffic. Every step you take in a spatial world leaves a trail, and if you're not careful, someone else is holding the map. In this chapter, we're talking about digital responsibility, not in theory, but in practice. Because while everyone wants to build immersive experiences, very few want to be the headline when a user's biometric data is leaked or their crypto wallet gets drained. Data is the product. Let's stop pretending data is just metadata. When you're running a business in the metaverse, you're collecting emotional expressions, eye movements, walking patterns, purchase behavior, voice interactions, location logs, and maybe even stress signals. That's not just marketing information. That's biometric, behavioral, and psychological data. Some platforms bury this reality in their terms of service. Others monetize it outright. Either way, if you're building a business in this space, you're not just handling data, you're holding identity. This is where the stakes get real. Because collecting data without clear policies or protections isn't just bad ethics, it's a legal mess waiting to happen. Depending on where your users are, one misstep could put you in violation of GDPR, CCPA, LGPD, or other privacy frameworks. And if you're not prepared to prove you took reasonable steps to protect user data, good luck defending your brand. Understanding what you're actually collecting. The first rule of compliance is awareness. You can't protect what you don't understand. Most business owners in the metaverse aren't even sure what their platforms are tracking by default. Start with a simple audit. Ask yourself, Does your app or experience collect voice commands? Does it log a user's movement, facial expression, time spent staring at an object? Does it capture ambient sound? That's all data, and in many jurisdictions, it's protected. Then get honest about whether you're storing or sharing that data. Are you using it for personalization? Are you allowing third-party ad networks to access it? Are you retaining logs long after a user logs off? The line between convenience and surveillance is thin. Don't just ask for consent. Earn it. Consent boxes don't mean much when users don't understand what they're agreeing to. If your privacy policy sounds like a legal riddle, you've already lost their trust. Instead of hiding behind fine print, give people real choices. Offer granular controls. Let them opt out of location tracking without sacrificing access. Explain clearly what you're collecting, why, and for how long. And if you don't need something, don't collect it. Being honest about data collection is no longer a nice-to-have. It's a competitive advantage. In a world where privacy feels like a fantasy, trust becomes the ultimate currency. Platform risk isn't your escape hatch. Here's a common trap: assuming the platform will handle it. Whether you're building on Meta, Engage VR, Spatial, or another metaverse infrastructure, you may think they're carrying the privacy load. But if your business adds third-party scripts, custom APIs, or analytics layers, you're likely responsible for what happens in your space. Platform terms often include indemnification clauses, meaning if you mess up, they're not on the hook. And if there's a breach involving your users' data, your name will be on the lawsuit. So don't just accept default settings. Review platform privacy configurations. Disable anything you don't need. Use secure APIs. Conduct penetration tests on your custom code. If you collect it, encrypt it. If you store it, secure it. If you share it, disclose it. Compliance is not a checkbox. Regulations like GDPR and CCPA aren't just buzzwords. They're laws with teeth. That means real fines, audits, and mandatory disclosures when things go wrong. Under GDPR, you must provide lawful grounds for data collection, allow users to access or delete their data, and inform them of breaches within 72 hours. Under CCPA, California residents can demand to know what's collected and sold about them. If your virtual experience is open to international users, and most are, you're expected to comply globally. That means tracking IP addresses, respecting regional rules, and assigning data protection officers if your data collection is extensive. Too many businesses wait until after an incident to learn these laws. Don't be one of them. Build with compliance in mind from the beginning. Rethinking security in spatial spaces. Protecting user data in the metaverse isn't just about firewalls and VPNs. You're dealing with environments that merge real-time voice, persistent user state, and often interoperable systems. You need multi-layered defenses, strong authentication, encryption at rest and in transit, regular patching, and secured APIs. But you also need user education. People need to know how to protect their own spaces and how to report if something feels off. Build clear interfaces for account controls. Let users see their data. Let them delete it. Make breach notifications honest and immediate. And make sure your staff, contractors, and moderators are trained to recognize red flags. Trust isn't just tech. It's culture. People don't sue over ones and zeros. They sue because they feel betrayed. Because they trusted you with something personal, and you treated it like it didn't matter. That's why privacy policies and security protocols are only part of the equation. The rest comes down to culture. Do your people care about protecting users? Are your developers thinking about data minimization when they build features? Are your marketers restrained enough to say no to creepy targeting tactics? The fastest way to build long-term loyalty in spatial commerce is to make trust your default setting, not just in policy, but in product. Keep this in your back pocket. The metaverse gives you the chance to create something astonishing, an experience, a brand, a community that feels alive. But none of that means anything if your users don't feel safe. Privacy isn't a technical hurdle. It's a business decision, one that needs to be baked into every interaction, every transaction, every piece of code. So start now. Don't wait for a crisis to care. And as we move forward, remember this: protecting your people is protecting your future. In the next chapter, we'll shift from behind-the-scenes systems to frontline visibility, tackling how you market, get discovered, and stay visible in the crowded corridors of spatial commerce. Chapter 16: Marketing, SEO, and Discoverability in Spatial Commerce. If no one can find you, you don't exist. That truth, as old as business itself, doesn't change just because you've built something inside a 3D immersive world. In fact, it gets harder. Welcome to the Metaverse, where the storefront isn't a window on Main Street, but a floating castle on Decentraland, a law firm on Spatial, or a meeting room on Engage VR. You're not just trying to be seen. You're trying to be found across scattered, experimental, often closed-loop ecosystems that don't play nice with each other. And yet, getting discovered is the difference between a buzzing experience and a ghost town. Let's break down how to show up in the right places, in the right way, with the right energy. Because visibility in the metaverse isn't about big budgets or being flashy. It's about understanding how spatial discovery works, why traditional SEO barely scratches the surface, and how trust still starts with showing up consistently where your people already are. Showing up where it counts. People still search. That hasn't changed. But what they're searching for and how they do it inside spatial commerce platforms absolutely has. You can't count on Google to index your metaverse venue. Most platforms run closed systems. That means search often happens inside each world, like Decentraland's map, Roblox's explore page, or Spatial's search feature. So you need to think like a local, not a tourist. Learn how each platform promotes discoverability. On some, it means showing up in event calendars. On others, it's about being tagged in social spaces. And on a few, you can pay for placement or partner with platform editors who curate featured venues. But presence doesn't equal attention. It still comes down to why someone would care. Your listing's thumbnail, your venue's title, your avatar's vibe. People skim and bounce fast in 3D. That means your first impression has to pull them in visually and emotionally. Think memorable, not flashy. Think familiar, not generic. Think, I know who this is for. Designing discoverability into the experience. You can't bolt marketing on after the fact. In the metaverse, discoverability needs to be baked into your venue's DNA. This isn't just a design decision. It's a survival skill. Start with architecture that encourages movement and sharing. Think camera angles that look great on TikTok. Think spaces that prompt screenshots. Think moments people want to post about without you asking. Add event loops and incentives. Whether it's a weekly meetup, a rotating gallery, or a limited drop, repetition breeds familiarity and gives you recurring content to promote across platforms. And remember, social proof still matters. Populate your world with signs of life, even if it's programmed NPCs or looped avatars. Emptiness kills trust. Buzz builds it. Getting found off-platform. While in-world discovery matters, most traffic still starts somewhere else. Instagram stories, YouTube walkthroughs, X threads, email invites. The way you title, tag, and talk about your metaverse presence on these channels influences whether people even click through to begin with. Forget the hard sell. Curiosity wins. Show behind-the-scenes peaks. Highlight the people, not just the build. Give a reason to care. Your URLs and links should never just drop people into a blank lobby. Guide them. Give context. Use short previews and soft landings, like interactive tour portals or video intros, to reduce bounce. And yes, your website still matters. It's the place where people go to verify who you are. Make it metaverse ready with embedded previews, clickable portals, and fast load times. Avatar influencers and authentic reach. This is where it gets fun. Forget static billboards. In the metaverse, your best marketing asset might be a well-known avatar who just happens to be wearing your merch or attending your event. These are not influencers in the traditional sense. They're personalities, characters, and community magnets with loyal followers who treat them like peers. Partner with avatar creators who align with your values and aesthetics. Pay them fairly. Give them room to interpret your brand in their own way. The more scripted it feels, the more it flops. Real wins in 3D feel messy, playful, and personal. And don't underestimate the ripple effect of small audiences. A micro-creator with 300 loyal fans who actually show up in-world can do more for your venue than a celebrity blast. Search still matters, just not the way you remember it. Traditional SEO, title tags, backlinks, meta descriptions, isn't dead. But it's no longer enough. Search in the metaverse is platform-native, emotionally driven, and often peer-amplified. That means reputation matters more than keywords. Participation drives visibility. And how people tag you, talk about you, and bring others with them is the new currency. Still, don't ignore search engines. If you're creating content around your 3D experiences, event listings, recaps, how-tos, or world documentation, optimize those pages. Just understand their role. They get people to the door. Your experience has to get them to stay. The mindset shift that makes all this work. Sure, you're selling a product or service, but you're also inviting someone into a world, into a feeling, into a community they want to return to. That's not built with ads or clicks. It's built with resonance. Marketing in the metaverse doesn't reward those who shout the loudest. It rewards those who show up like real people, with real intentions, and something worth sticking around for. As you set your next campaign, think less about promotion and more about presence, less about traffic, more about belonging. And that brings us to what happens next. Measuring the impact. Not just who came and clicked, but who stayed, connected, and came back. In Chapter 17, we'll talk about how to make sense of ROI in spatial commerce, what to track, how to track it, and how to know if your metaverse presence is actually working. Chapter 17. Analytics, KPIs, and measuring ROI in immersive environments. In the physical world, a dusty guest book or foot traffic counter might tell you how many people walked through your doors. In the metaverse, you're not counting bodies. You're tracing presence, attention, engagement, and ultimately, intent. And if you're not measuring it, you're just guessing. This chapter is about removing the guesswork. Too many entrepreneurs and creators launch into spatial commerce with beautiful builds and no benchmarks. That's like building a theme park without turnstiles. You have no clue if people came, where they went, what they loved, or when they bounced. Data isn't just helpful here, it's your business GPS. What actually matters in 3D? You can measure everything in the metaverse. That doesn't mean you should. Focus on what reflects real user behavior and business value. Foot traffic might be nice, but dwell time? That tells you who actually stayed to look around. Clicks might signal curiosity, but conversions, the moment someone signs up, buys, or interacts with intent, tell the real story. You also want to track engagement flow. Did someone enter your space, wander to the left, interact with a product display, chat with your avatar staff, then leave without purchasing? Or did they take a direct path, transact, and return 2 days later for support? Patterns matter more than raw numbers. Most important, tie your metaverse presence to revenue, retention, and reputation. Vanity metrics are cheap. Use real markers like recurring visits, net promoter scores, yes, even in 3D, referral chains, and time to convert. Cross-platform doesn't mean cross-purpose. One of the biggest headaches in metaverse analytics is fragmentation. Each platform offers different tracking tools, some robust, some bare bones. Unity might give you heat maps and movement trails. Meta Horizon might limit what you can see. Sandbox might let you pull blockchain wallet data. It's a mess. This is why it's critical to build your own dashboard. Pull key data into a centralized view, even if it means exporting CSVs or using middleware. You can't run your business through 15 different tabs and expect to see the full picture. Bring your analytics into one space where patterns can actually emerge. The fix is consistency. Don't change your KPIs just because you added a new platform. Instead, build a standard measurement framework and retrofit each environment to align with it. Same goals, same definitions, different tech. The human side of data. We don't track metrics just to impress investors or check boxes. We track them to build better relationships. Numbers should inform how you treat your community. If people are dropping off after the first interaction, that's a user experience issue. If they're returning for events but not buying, your sales flow may need fixing. If avatar conversations spike during support hours but not sales windows, you've got an availability problem. Behavioral patterns are telling you where the friction lives. Good data shows you not just what people did, but what they wanted. Great businesses listen. Also, make time for qualitative metrics. How people feel in your space matters. Are they confused, delighted, lost, inspired? Use exit surveys, pop-up prompts, and avatar interactions to ask, not assume. AI and predictive analytics, the double-edged sword. Here's the truth. AI won't save a broken strategy. If your venue doesn't spark curiosity or serve a need, no algorithm will magically surface success. But once your foundation is solid, AI can absolutely sharpen the edges. Predictive analytics helps you see what's likely to happen next based on past behavior. If users who enter room A and interact with object B are 70% likely to buy within 24 hours, you can build smarter flows. Move that object. Add a prompt. Shorten the path. AI also helps forecast staffing, plan events, and personalize messaging. But it's not magic. It's pattern recognition. And it only works if the patterns are tied to outcomes that matter. If your inputs are garbage, your predictions will be too. That's not AI's fault, it's yours. Keep it simple, keep it honest. Don't let fancy dashboards distract you from truth. Your KPIs should be brutal in their clarity. What's working? What's not? Where are people falling through the cracks? And here's the biggest gut check. If you can't clearly say what your goal is, don't bother tracking yet. Metrics without purpose are just noise. Start with the basics. What are you here to do? Sell products? Build community? Offer support? Teach? Your metrics should serve that purpose. Period. Then measure forward, not backward. Don't just report what happened. Use your data to decide what to do next. It boils down to this. The metaverse is built on pixels and presence, but it runs on decisions. And those decisions are only as good as the clarity behind them. Analytics isn't about big words or dashboards full of dots. It's about knowing what matters, what moves people, and what you're willing to do about it. Now that you've built the systems to measure your success, it's time to ask a bigger question. What happens when it's time to exit, grow, or pass the torch? In our final chapter, we'll get serious about succession, valuation, and staying smart in a space that never stops moving. Chapter 18. Exit Strategies, M&A, and Future-Proofing Your Virtual Business. Let's start with a truth that too many metaverse entrepreneurs ignore until it's too late. You don't build a business just to run it. You build it so that one day, if you choose to sell, hand off, merge, or pivot, you can do so on your terms, with leverage. That's what this chapter is about. Building your metaverse business not just to thrive in the now, but to carry value and options into the next chapter, whatever that may be. Selling or transferring a virtual business is not like selling a coffee shop. In the physical world, selling a business often means handing over a lease, transferring licenses, and maybe including a few loyal employees in the deal. In the metaverse, your value lives in code, contracts, tokens, communities, and intangible brand assets. What you're really selling isn't a place, it's a structure of trust, utility, and attention. This creates power and risk. The power is that you can sell globally, to buyers who aren't constrained by geography or physical infrastructure. The risk is that if you haven't done the work to make your digital business legible, clean contracts, clearly owned IP, identifiable revenue sources, you're going to scare away serious buyers or tank your valuation. So the first real move in planning for your exit is structuring the business from day one, as if someone else will need to understand it, audit it, and want it. Business valuation in digital economies. It's more than token price. Valuing a virtual business in 2025 means dealing with more moving parts than a startup pitch deck and fewer hard rules than Wall Street. Revenue matters. So does traffic, retention, avatar engagement, and even IP uniqueness. But the real multiplier? Community. Buyers look for businesses with loyal users who show up, participate, and spend. They want interoperability. They want defensible brand equity, avatars, venues, naming rights, merch licensing, and they want transparency, clean financials, smart contracts without code vulnerabilities, and user metrics that weren't pumped by bots. One of the smartest moves you can make early on is to keep a real-time snapshot of your platform stats and business health. Monthly active users, revenue per transaction, dwell time, churn. If you wait until you want to sell to start tracking these things, you're too late. M&A in the metaverse. It's not just big fish eating little fish. Metaverse mergers aren't limited to deep-pocketed giants swallowing startups. They also happen laterally. Two brands combine to create a cross-world identity. A tool merges with a venue to create utility plus traffic. A DAO acquires a service company to lock in development capabilities. But here's where it gets real. You can't merge with someone whose smart contracts are a mess, whose IP is vague, or whose community will revolt at the first sign of change. Successful M&A in spatial commerce depends on trust, shared values, and a migration plan that doesn't alienate users. Your prep for this starts long before anyone slides a term sheet across the table. It begins with governance clarity, IP registration, smart contract audits, and consistent community engagement. Succession planning, the unsexy piece that builds real legacy. What happens if your co-founder ghosts? If you get sick? If your lead developer walks with all the admin keys? Most people don't want to think about it, which is exactly why they should. Succession planning in the metaverse isn't about just handing off a password or exporting files. It's about creating a structure that can endure without your presence. That means role-based access, documented systems, and clear legal authority to transfer ownership. And if you're building in a DAO-style structure, it gets even more delicate. Voting rights, quorum structures, and token governance have to be set up in a way that allows leadership to evolve without imploding the entire project. Otherwise, you've just built a shiny house with no front door. Staying nimble in a fast-changing ecosystem. Here's the kicker. You can plan the perfect exit and still lose if you don't stay adaptive. AI tools change how users interact with virtual spaces. Regulatory changes can wipe out a token's legality overnight. Platforms die, trends shift, community tastes evolve. The smartest exit strategy is built into your operating DNA. A business that doesn't rely on a single platform, a product suite that can flex across formats, and a leadership mindset that sees change as a feature, not a threat. This is about positioning your business as a bridge, not just a building. Bridges connect places, people, markets, and moments. They have tension, but they're designed to flex. So should you. Exit strategy. Is business strategy. Waiting until you're burned out, underperforming, or under regulatory fire is a bad time to start planning your exit. Exit isn't the end, it's part of the plan. It's a statement of how seriously you take your work, your brand, and the people who helped you build it. You don't need to know the exact door you'll walk through, but you do need to start mapping the exits. Keep your records tight. Build systems people can inherit. Keep your community engaged and informed. And above all else, build with clarity. The final word. The metaverse is no longer a concept waiting for validation. It's a business frontier ready for your leadership. Now is the time to follow through, to take aligned action, and to build something meaningful inside this new digital landscape. Walk your talk. Lead by example. Show up every day with purpose and persistence. The world is watching, and the market is listening. This is a living opportunity that rewards movement, momentum, and curiosity. So give yourself permission to begin. Explore boldly. Create intentionally. Take constant, consistent action toward your goals. And above all, enjoy it. Enjoy the learning, the growth, the unknowns. Because the future of business is being written in real time, and there's space in it for those who step forward now. Epilogue. How the metaverse and spatial computing will rewrite human connection. Right now, as you read these words, someone in Lagos is closing $1 million deal with a team in London while their kids play with cousins in Seoul. A surgeon in Boston is teaching a procedure to doctors in Bangladesh who feel like they're standing shoulder to shoulder in the same operating room. A grandmother in rural Iowa is walking through her granddaughter's college campus in Tokyo, experiencing every detail as if she boarded a plane yesterday. This isn't science fiction. This is Monday. And with AI being layered into our experiences, this is what Mitch and his team see happening on a typical Monday, 3 to 5 years from today. It's coming. With an AI-powered metaverse, we're living through the most profound shift in human connection since the invention of language itself. For millennia, physical distance meant disconnection. Geography was destiny. Your zip code determined your opportunities, your relationships, your entire world. That era just ended. The metaverse is changing how we work or play, and it's also rewriting the fundamental rules of human possibility. And because it's so new, it's rolling out weekly in our virtual spaces. Here's what nobody is talking about. Artificial intelligence is powering these new experiences and becoming the universal translator for every barrier that ever kept us apart. Think about what this really means. Every conversation that never happened because of language barriers. Every business partnership that died because of cultural misunderstandings. Every friendship that couldn't bloom because of physical distance. Every classroom that stayed empty because students couldn't travel. Every medical breakthrough that remained trapped in one corner of the world while people suffered elsewhere. All of that has changed forever. Today, and the future today, Mitch and his team are experiencing the early stages of this change multiple times a week. The meetings and events we're hosting at our law firm's different metaverse venues are changing how we practice law, consult, and build relationships. Think about it. When AI is infused with your spatial computing environment and experiences, and it becomes your real-time interpreter, cultural consultant, and communication coach all at once, something magical happens. The awkwardness melts away. The fear of saying the wrong thing disappears. You're not just talking to someone, you're connecting with them at a level that transcends every artificial boundary we've built between us. But here's where it gets really interesting. This technology doesn't just translate words. It translates intent, emotion, context. It reads the room in ways that even we sometimes miss. It helps us understand not just what someone is saying, but what they mean, what they need, what they're feeling. We're breaking down language barriers while building bridges between souls. The business world is already feeling this seismic shift. Entrepreneurs are building global companies from their kitchen tables. Artists are creating for audiences they never could have reached. Teachers are sharing knowledge across continents as easily as across hallways. The geographic lottery that determined success for centuries just became irrelevant. This is more than business. It's improving humanity. Yet what moves Mitch and his team the most isn't the business or economic potential, it's the human potential. We're watching the birth of true global empathy. When you can stand in someone else's world, feel their environment, experience their reality, something profound shifts in your understanding of them. Prejudice withers in the face of genuine presence. Fear dissolves when you share space with the other and discover they're not other at all. And all of this will be amplified as AI continues to integrate itself into the metaverse experience. Children growing up today will never know a world where distance meant disconnection. They'll form friendships that span continents as naturally as we formed them across neighborhoods. They'll collaborate on projects with peers whose languages they don't speak, but whose ideas they understand perfectly. They'll solve problems together that no single culture or perspective could tackle alone. When a student in rural Afghanistan can walk through the Louvre alongside classmates from 6 different continents, guided by an AI that makes every conversation feel natural and effortless, we're expanding the human experience and amplifying it beyond anything we've ever imagined. The old gatekeepers are panicking because their gates just became irrelevant. Mitch is seeing this happen as a lawyer representing clients and also feels it while listening to feedback from business owners and friends. In a combined way, we're all experiencing this daily. University admission boards, corporate hiring managers, gallery curators, publishers, and anyone whose power came from controlling access are all watching that power evaporate in real time. Talent is everywhere, but opportunity never was. Now it is. This is about technology getting better and humanity getting bigger. When every barrier falls, when every distance shrinks to nothing, when every conversation becomes possible, we don't just change how we work or learn or create, we change who we are.